Hi, Kathy. Mama Bear. Let me silence my phone so it doesn't go off during the middle of our live. We have about 2 minutes. We're going to give it some time to get some people in. Okay. Sorry, I got quiet there for a second. I can't chew gum and walk straight today. So doing two things at once is proving challenging. I just finished my coffee also. Let's see. Right there. And never. Never, never, never. All right, guys, I'm going to play the intro. Good morning, everybody who just jumped on. Good morning, Louise. Good morning, Savage. Hi, Francine. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Marianne. And just a reminder, if you're over on Facebook and you're chatting, it only says it's a Facebook viewer that I can see unless I actually go to my phone and look at it. So if you're chatting, please tell us who you are and say hello. Let's see. This is the calendar. We are live today at 11 a.m., of course, and tomorrow, Thursday, it will be a 7 p.m. live. Our Thursday lives, we've always done on Thursday nights, is not going to change. Every Thursday is still at 7 p.m. All of our other lives are at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and you will find those dotted on the calendar there. For some reason, I have it on yesterday, I have a Facebook ghost there. It should not be there, but it is. So anyway, you're on your phone in YouTube this morning. You're on your phone on YouTube this morning. Okay, I got you. Okay, so check that calendar out. Those are the days that we're going to be live. Now you'll see on the left where it says on Mondays and Wednesdays, it is supporter file day. That means on Monday and Wednesdays we do a supporter file, but you can follow along if you want to design your own, and you can do that, or you can become a supporter to get the file that I created. Then on Thursday nights, that is a file that I created that I share with everyone. Okay, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, those are going to be files that are public that I create. On Fridays, those are going to be files that we choose from the Cricut community, and we're going to pick somebody at random, and we're going to make their project and just kind of make it our own so that you guys can learn how you can customize and change something. Maybe change it from Christmas to a birthday, or from a birthday to St. Patrick's Day, things like that. That way you can learn. Just because you see a project completed done one way, there are more than one way to do anything. So that is what Fridays are going to be about. A fun day. We're just going to find something, and we're going to work on it and make it our own. Good morning, Renee. Good morning, Colleen. Hi, Diana. Not late. We're just getting started, Diana. You're right on time. So that is the calendar. Don't forget to check out the current sale, guys. And as always, if you're shopping, please use the links that I provided down below. I will earn a small commission if you use those links. If you don't use those links, I don't get anything, even if you use my group code. A lot of people get that confused, but the group code is strictly just for your use. It has nothing to do with it. If you use that link that I provide, then I will earn a small commission. It helps me to do this full time. It also supports the group, the website, and things like that, and I greatly appreciate your support. Again, you can support in other ways by joining on Patreon. All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks to all my supporters, my admin, everybody. I greatly appreciate you. And if somebody could take care of that for me. Sorry, we have a spammer. Good morning, Shirley. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see if we can. I can't get to him. There we go. Thank you, Marianne. Sorry about that, guys. I find that offensive myself. All right, so we've got the announcements. Let's see. I did Happy New Year. I haven't changed this out yet. This is really where you guys would see the giveaway, but I don't have it yet. I have not got it set up. I have to make sure that I get all of my ducks in a row and get my permissions from Cricut before I can start it. So it will be coming as soon as I can get there. Good morning, Margaret. So, Designspace. On Monday, we went over the design panel. I just want to point out here at this top bar, this is your home bar. This gets you over to your settings from the hamburger menu. You'll notice learning plan. I had somebody mention that they didn't notice that. Guys, you're only going to see that if you have a Maker 3 or an Explore 3. Again, you'll have to change that family. Well, you might see it with Joy too. I might just be seeing it because I do have the Maker 3. But if you're not seeing that, it could be that your machine family is not hooked up or you've never had a Maker 3 or an Explore 3. I do know that that learning plan is set up for those machines using smart materials and things like that, and that you can get the learning plans. We covered this in a video prior to the end of the year, the unboxing video, new machine. So you can refer back to that, and I tell you also that that is right now only available in the USA. So if you're on, if your country is set to Canada, you will not see it. So just so you know that mine may look a little different because I do have a Maker 3 and I am in the USA. So, and I have the Explore 3. So that's why mine is showing up there. So those of you that have been asking about it, unless all of those you meet that criteria, you will not see it. It is also available in your menu here, and when you click over, and you can, just because you don't have a machine doesn't mean you can't use it. You can go through there. There's some valuable information. It's going to teach you about using different materials and using your machines. So make sure that you're following that. I have to check. I know that the Iron-On Learning Kit is coming out. You can purchase those. You do not have to purchase them. Right here, you can shop learning kits. You don't have to purchase the learning kit to do the videos, guys, and to follow along. If you have material on hand, you can use the material that you have on hand. So just so you have them. But I wish I had those learning kits when I first got my very first machine. That would have been so awesome because I went from the old machine to the Explore Air machine, and it was a big difference. So I wished really that I had had these when I got started with the air machines. So check those out. Next, you have your home, which is going to bring you right where your design space opens up. Here's your new product setup. Calibration, that's been a big thing in the groups. You only need to calibrate your print and cut, your rotary blade, and your knife blade. These are the first uses. After that, you're only going to calibrate if you're getting miscuts. If you're getting miscuts. So if you change out your regular fine point blade, you can't calibrate the fine point blade. There's no way to calibrate the fine point blade. Okay? So make sure that, and it's going to prompt you. So if you don't do it, don't worry about it. If you don't remember how to get back here, it's okay. When you go to do that first print and cut on your machine, it's going to tell you you need to calibrate first, and it's going to give you an on-screen prompt for you to follow, and it's exactly the same as coming right here and doing it. It is no different. So the first time that you use the machine or these tools on your machine, it will prompt you to do those. So again, for those of you asking, I saw it several times in the group, or in various groups actually. The fine point blade does not need calibration. It's just your basic blade. Thank you, Diana. All right, so let's see. Firmware, that's prompted when you hook up your machine, and you can do that anytime. You can check to make sure that the firmware on your machine is up to date. Generally, it will do all the stuff behind the scenes for you, but you can always check it. Account details is going to take you over to Cricut.com, where you can check your access, subscription, all of that, which you can also check from here. And link cartridges, I think Marianne or somebody said that Cricut discontinued that. Even if you have a port on your Air machines, you have to now call support to get those linked. Then your settings. I just want to touch on this for everyone, just because I don't know. I think I'm in live version right now. Yep, I'm in live. So you can switch from live to beta at any interval that you want. And the reason that you might want to do that, if you're having an issue in live, you can swap over to the beta, and it's simply click that button. The first time it may take a few minutes, the first time you do that, because it has to download that beta version rather than updating it. It has to download it. And then when you go to the live version, they will just kind of close the window and open the window for you, and you will be switching from one application experience to the other. And if you're ever having any issue in the live, switch over to the beta. It may be a bug fix that's in the works, and they may have already fixed it in the beta version, and it just hasn't rolled out to live yet. And I happen to know that there should be something rolling out in the next day or two that fixes one of the things that we had going on. And it may be behind the scenes. It may not have affected you. It may just affected some of us. So things like that. Make sure you're doing that. Your canvas, I showed you this Monday, I think, where you can switch from imperial to metric. Use no grid, full grid, partial grid as your default. But you can change that. You can set your load type for your mats. On my Maker 3, I have on a 12 by 12 mat. Now it will give me the other options so that I can select others as well. And then my print and cut, you've got letter and you've got A4 if you're in the UK. So all of that is under your settings in that hamburger menu. You also have legal, which shows the angel policy, sharing images and stuff from Designspace, things like that. What's new, it will always tell you what's new in the updates that came out. So in version 7.23 that we're in, all of the improved font picker, all of that kind of stuff that came in that we showed the other day, and we're going to be looking at today. It shows you all of the new stuff, so you'll know exactly what changed. Good morning. Hi, Marion and Brittany and Shirley and Jessica and Linda. So make sure that you're checking that out when, oops, let me close that. Once you're in there, and then you have your country, what's new, help. And this will take you over to Cricut.com so you can search for help, and then of course sign out. So now that we've covered this top bar, this is also your new project and your machine family and your stuff, and then your notification bell for when people follow you or like something that you've done. So all of that is on that top bar. But when you get over onto the canvas, and you can get there from the hamburger menu too, or you can just click New Project, then you have this toolbar. So this is the design panel over here on the left. That is what we covered Monday. Today we're going to cover this top bar here. And we are going to create a card. Which card are we going to create? We're going to create this layout. Okay, now I'm going to make this public for all of you. We're going to assemble this card. Today I've already cut it to save time. And we are going to lay this out so that you can make it your own and follow along. So if you want to open up your design space and go to a new project, you can create this layout. Okay, so let me just go back. And that supporter file, guys, we're going to put that together today too. It only takes a minute. You did 2 alerts and you got so you could get here. You never know when you might learn something new, right, Sue? Or get even a refresher. Refreshing helps too. Sometimes I forget to tell things, you know, so it helps. So we did the design panel. This is the toolbar, and you notice that it's all grayed out. And that's because there's nothing in the canvas, so there's nothing to work on. And if you have nothing to work on, then you don't have your tools out, right? So that's why it's grayed out. So when you come over to our design panel and you pick some shapes, and we're going to start with a score line. And now you see that it lit up. So now that I have something to work with, I have tools. So that's why that works like it does. We're going to get a square. And I think that squares are all I used on this layout. So now we have everything we need. If you have your score line and you have your square, you have everything you need to create this card, except for a pretty image, which we'll get into here in a moment. My grid drives you nuts. You do the smaller squares. See, I'm just the opposite, Mama Bear. I'm so glad that you brought that up. I used to love the 1/4-inch grid, but that 1/8 inch grid really drives me nuts. So that one, I can't see. I get everything runs together for me. It kind of, yeah. This one makes me a little bit dizzy too, so I'm glad I'm not the only one that said that. I could deal with the 1/4-inch, but that 1/8 inch grid really drives me crazy. I was hoping that they would give us the 1/4-inch back, but they haven't yet. So I'll turn it off. Is that better, Mama Bear? No grid? We don't really need a grid for this card, so that might help. All right. Because I really like working with no grid unless I'm working with something very intricate. So, so I know that I'm making an A2 size card. A2 size card is when it's folded and completed, is a 4.25 inch or 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, 5.5. Okay, because we work with decimals instead of as our fractions in design space. You can see everything. This square comes in at a default at 2 by 2. Okay, so let's cover the tools at the top that we're going to be working with. This one is undo. Okay, and so you can see that I moved my score line back to where it was, and then I can redo and bring it back. Undo, redo. That's exactly what they do. Next, let me select something. You have your operation type. Operation type is telling your layers panel over here, which we will cover tomorrow, what to do. Okay? This tells this what to do. So it's telling me that square is going to be a basic cut, or it's going to be a wavy cut, or a perforated cut. And you will only have those two options if you have a maker machine. Let's go back to basic. Let's see if I go to my Explore family and then click on it. You see that I don't have those. So if you have an Explore machine, you will not see those. Okay. If you have the Joy machine selected, you may not see as much as you did with the Explore machine. So what you see in this operation drop-down is going to be dependent upon the machine that you are using. Okay? That way, if you know that you're creating a Joy card or a card that you're going to be cutting on an Explore machine over at your friend's house and they don't have the Maker 3, they have an Explore, you can design and make sure that you're not adding a wavy line to it that they're not going to be able to cut. Okay, so that's going to give you a way to design and make sure that you don't select something that's not going to work on that machine. Okay, so everything is in there. Draw is basically that. Your draw line makes your shape a pen, and you can do this with images in Designspace, guys. So if you see a teddy bear, you want an outline of that teddy bear or whatever, you can change it to draw. Then you have your foil, which is also a draw type line. You can change it into the foil, fine, medium, and bold. Once you do those, just like the pen, it will give you the color options available for whatever you have selected. Depending on your pen, if you select a marker, it tells you all of the color of markers in that type of a marker that you selected. And why is that important? As you can see, let me change the color of that so it shows up better. You can see how heavy that line is with the marker pen selected. Okay, if I check and I go to extra fine, it's going to change, or used to. Maybe we have a glitch on the screen. It's supposed to get smaller. It's probably looking smaller. It really shows up with writing. So if you have some text that's really tight together, so I'll try to remember when we do our sentiment to show you that. It's going to clarify it and make it smaller so that you can get an idea of what it's going to look like on your card to show you if your pen is too heavy or too thin. Okay, so that's going to change according to what pen you select. Oh, it didn't change. There we go. There, you see how it got thinner? That's why it didn't change it. But there's a difference. So it's going to show you how that image is going to look. Okay? Same with the foil. Score is just that. It changes the image to a score line. Deboss changes it to a deboss line. And if you have the Maker, and then engrave does the same thing. It just tells the machine what it's going to do. Okay? Very simple and easy. Then you have print and cut, which is going to change it. And you'll notice that when we have that selected, flatten is not available because it's already set for print then cut. And then you can come into your print and cut menu, and we will cover this more in depth when we do our print and cut video, to a pattern, or you can change and select your exact color. So if you wanted Dallas Cowboy Blue and you're not quite getting there, you can actually type in the number. Let's just do my site number. I know it's 616 D69. Yep. So if I wanted this to match my website, I can go in and type in that color and get the exact color that I want. So very easy on that. And I'm going to change it to basic because we're going to basic cut this. Notice I lost my color because that was print and cut, but you can do it for your basic cut too. So if you just want to do a specific color to help you remember what piece is cut from what, you can do it there as well. Is everybody following along with me so far? Operation type has the most in it, the most to remember. The rest of it's really easy. But this is what tells your machine what to do. My throat's a little dry. I apologize. I'm still trying to get over that cold I had last week. Yeah, it's in the 80s here, Diana. Last 2 days. So that covers that. Then you have just what it says, select all. You can select everything in the canvas or deselect everything in the canvas. So if you wanted to group everything, you had it all laid out on your canvas, you can select it and group it right here in the layers panel. And we'll talk more about group later when we get to the layers panel, but that's what that does. Edit. You can click on edit. Your edit menu is just that. You've got cut, copy, paste, which I have nothing to paste because I haven't copied anything, so it's grayed out, and duplicate and delete. You can also use your shortcut keys on your computer, and it gives you what they are there. Command X or Control X if you're on a Windows, and then you can see that I have the paste, and I can paste it. So that's what those do. You can also right-click on the image and get those same edit tools. More than one way to do anything, right? You can also get your arrange tool in here. So we're coming up on that here in just a moment. Your align tool is not going to show up unless you have 2 images or 2 items selected. So you have to have 2 items selected for align to show up. And then that's going to allow you to align left, horizontally, right, top, center, align bottom, and then total center. And then you have distribute. And there's nothing to distribute. That's why it's grayed out. In order to distribute, duplicate 3. We'll talk about what distribute does. We'll go more into depth on these later as well. But if you get your, oops, let me get that out. I keep clicking on the wrong area. There we go. So we're going to align. Why is it doing that? That's weird. Huh. It thinks I'm left clicking and I'm not. There we go. Woo! That was weird. That was just kind of weird. Okay, so we can align them to the top. That's how that align works, and it makes everything even at the top. Distribute. Now I can distribute these vertically, which they already are because they're aligned at the top, or horizontally. And let me just get that down below the box so you can see what happens. So when I distribute horizontally, watch what happens. And it gives the exact amount of space between the two. And that is judged by item number 1 and item number 3. So if you had 10 items, it would be item number 1 and item number 10. Those are your starting and ending points, and it distributes everything in the middle evenly. And it does the same thing if you're going vertically, like this. You're going to align, and we're going to align them to the right, get them in a good line, and then distribute them vertically, and it's going to give you the exact amount of space in between. So super easy tool to use. Nothing major unless you've got something very tedious and you're trying to get it lined up. And there are other things that I'm going to show you that when we create this card. So we're going to be using that tool today too. Arrange. If you can see that this one is on the top, or actually it's in the middle. Right here, when you select that image, it looks like it's on top of that image, but it is the second layer. You got layer 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? They go in order over on that layers panel. If I want that center layer to be at the back, then I'm going to send it to the back. And now you can see it jump down here to the bottom in the layers panel. So sometimes if you're sending it backward and it looks like it's not working, let me choose the line, and it looks like it's not working, if you look in that layers panel, it will move up one at a time. So as I bring that forward, you can see in the layers panel, it is moving one at a time on that forward. So if you have 50 items in there and it looks like it's not working, trust me, it is. It's just moving up one layer at a time. Yes, Marianne, one is black, one is midnight. Yes, dependent upon the specific pen. Okay, so that is your arrange menu. Totally easy. Flip. What does flip do? Let me get an image that you can tell. Let me just grab an image real quick out of featured. And let's add that to the canvas. So flip, and you're going to be surprised, guys. We're almost done. Oops. Happy birthday, Loretta. If it's your birthday, is Loretta here? Let's see. So if I go to flip, I can flip this horizontal. Now it's got writing on it, so it's going to make your writing backwards, okay? So that is kind of like mirroring your iron-on. So if you forget to mirror it on the Make It screen, some people like to do it here, some like to do it on the matte screen. That's going to be your personal preference. So flip horizontal, flips it that way, and then vertical, flips it the other way. Okay? So super, super simple. That just flips your image. Offset, which we're about to use. Offset creates an offset for whatever image that you have selected. Okay? So that's what it does, and you can control it. We're going to show you that here in just a minute, so I'm not going to go into big detail. That's what offset does. It also creates an inset by going negative. You can see the blue line on there, I hope, and then apply, and you can do an inset. So offset and inset, that's what that does. Sizing, and somebody asked about this the other day. When would you unlock it? You would unlock this when you want to change the size of something or you want to skew an item. So if I wanted to make my square a rectangle, I would unlock it in order to do so and type in my sizes and get that going. Okay, that's going to be the size of our card anyway once it's folded and done. So that's basically what size does. Just allows you to unlock it, or it tells you the current size of an image you selected. Okay? And then rotate. What does rotate do? It changes how your image is on the map. 45 degree, 90 degree. You can type in whatever degree you want to twist that into. Okay? Once you attach something or slice something or weld something, that will then go back to 0 and it will remain at that. Let me just attach just to show you guys. Now you can see that it doesn't show that it's at 90 degrees anymore. So if I wanted to change it back, I would have to change it to 90 and get it to go the other way. And I'm just going to undo. It's where this undo button comes in handy. So that is rotate, and then position. Position is very important, especially when you're needing to make sure that your score line is at a specific spot. Maybe you don't want it center, maybe you don't want it aligned to the right or to the left, and you need it to go into a specific place. Say we wanted it to score at 1 inch on here. I could set my position to 0, and it's going to put it on that vertical. This is your X position, is your vertical, okay, on the 0 line. And then at the Y, which is your horizontal, put it at the 0, 0 mark. And then I would know that I wanted to set my score line. Make sure that that is to the front. It is. If I wanted it to score at the 1 inch mark on the horizontal and the 1 inch mark on the vertical, then it would set it right there where I needed it. Then I could select the two, drag it out here where I can work on it, and know that it's in the place that it needs to be. Okay? Super, super easy menu there. Yes, if you want to make sure that you have true black, it's to go into your hex values, like Marianne said. Click on your image, click your color block. You can select black. It should be 00, but if you, let's say that you're down here and it doesn't, it kind of looks black, but not quite there, you can change that to 000, 6 zeros, I believe, and get that true black. If you wanted white, I think it's 6 Fs for your true white. Okay, so super easy and simple on those. Does anybody have any questions about that toolbar? We're going to do text, but we're not doing text today. That's going to be in another video. I think we're going to cover text toolbar on Friday with the layers panel, because you're getting a taste of using these today, so it's going to lead into those, and you're going to be familiar with it already. But you will not see your text toolbar unless you have text in the canvas. Okay? That's the only time you're going to see text, that text toolbar. And it's really easy. We kind of touched on it yesterday as well. All right, so now we have everything, I'm going to get rid of that we need to create a card. So I'm going to start with my score line. I know that my card is going to be 4.25 by 5.5. So here's where we're going to create our card base. So get your score line in there. Once it's in there, you're going to come up to the size on the toolbar, and you're going to make it 5.5, 5.5 inches. That way it goes the entire length of the card. But we need a fold in that card, because right now we only have a front. We need a front and a back. So when it's folded, right? So that means we have to double our size going across the top. So we're going to unlock it. This is where your size comes in. And we're going to double that number to 8.5. 4.25 and 4.25 is 8.5. So now I know that when my card's folded in half, it will be an A2. We're going to select both by just dragging a box around it, and we're going to align center. And then you're going to come down to the bottom of the layers panel over here on the right, and you're going to attach that. If you don't attach it, then when it goes to the mat, it's going to have your score line on a mat all by itself, and you're not going to get a score line on your card. Okay, so you have to attach that. I'm going to change this color just because I was showing you guys what colors to do, and that's really hard to see. So I'm going to go to gray. So on the card, actually, let's do this one as white, because we're going to be using that gray. This is the card. Get rid of that grid. This is my card base. Now I need a sentiment in that card. You can put whatever sentiment you want. You can use your text and you can type, or you can go to images and look for a birthday sentiment of whatever type that you want. And I am going to go to operation type, and we're going to go to draw only. And what is going on, Cricut? I know that there's more than, oh, I'm in featured. That's why. Oops. Let's type up here at the top. Let's go to birthday and search. I was about to say, wait a minute. Draw only and cut and draw. And let's see what we've got. There we go. So maybe we want to say happy birthday, Olivia, on the inside. No, let's see. Here we go. Here's happy birthday. This is the one I used on the card, so we'll get that one. And let's see. I don't remember what I used on the inside of it. I have to peek. Make a wish. Let's type in make a wish. And I know that this image has a boo-boo on it. But we're going to use it anyway. I corrected it on the one that I did. Oh, that's cute. We'll just use this one. So I'm going to add those two to the canvas. Yes, Cheryl, the hex value does not transfer to the medium that you are using unless you are doing print and cut. It's just an example of what color goes on your mat for anything else. So I've got Make-A-Wish here, and I'm just going to size that up for the card. And then I've got my happy birthday that I'm going to use for my sentiment on the front later. So you can select your images at any time. You can leave this totally blank, but I am using it to show you your arrange tool, your align tool. So now I have my sentiments picked, but I don't want this to end up, I don't want it dead center on the inside of my card. The right side of your score line is the inside of your card, and this is the inside front, inside back, and then of course we can't see the actual front of the card because this is the way it goes. Our paper goes onto the mat. Until it's folded, we don't get a 3D visual. All right, so how do you make sure that you get that where it needs to be? I am going to take this square. We're going to make this a light purple so you guys can still see. All right, I am going to make this. I know that my card base, when it's folded, is going to be 4.25 by 5.5. My height doesn't matter unless you want it dead center, but you do need the width of your card. I'm going to bring this forward until it's right behind my sentiment. I am going to drag it to the lower than the top of my card and inward so that I have some of the right-hand side of my card base showing. And that's going to matter with your arrange tool. And then I'm just going to select these two, okay? And we're going to click on that align tool, and I am going to align it to the top and then align it to the right. Why did that matter? I want to make sure that that purple panel moves and not the card itself. If I do it this way, and it doesn't really matter in this situation right now, but in other instances it will matter. So I wanted to show you how to actually use your align tool properly. If I select it this way and just select the two and I align to the right, you see the card moved instead of the panel. Why does that matter? What if I am trying to make sure that this stays in line and then I want this to be aligned in a certain spot in coordinate with that? You want to make sure that you don't move the base, because if I move this way, align to the right, now this is off. So if you've got, because we can't lock things down on the canvas, I hope that they one day give us that, where we can lock it down and then we can just move the stuff around. But till then, make sure that you've got it below your uppermost position and inside to your most right or most left position. So then you can align it and the purple panel itself will move and not the card. Okay? Super easy. Then you're going to select your sentiment, and we're just going to bring that in, and we're going to select the purple card only. You can see over here I've got the sentiment selected and that square, not the base, and we're going to align, center it horizontally, and then it shifts. I can pull this card out, select these two, and attach, and now I know that that is center of the back of my card, going horizontally. If you want it dead center, you can bring it center. It's just how it depends on where you want it to land on here. But I just wanted mine to be the same amount of space between my score and this edge and the edge of the card. Could I do that again? Which part? The alignment of it, Cheryl? You detach. Oops. Let me just go through and undo. Okay, so you've got your panel. This is the actual size of your card when it's finished. you're going to select your card base and your panel. You're going to align to the top. You're going to align to the right. And now that panel is sitting at the exact back side of my card. So now I'm going to select my sentiment and just the panel, not the card, just the panel, the square. Okay, and we're going to align and we're going to center it horizontally. See how that jumped? Because I had it hanging off the edge. Remember I said it matters. See, this panel is no longer at the center of my card. So now if I slide it out, it's not actually centered. So make sure that you're aligning properly. Going to align. Oops. Got to select the maple. Align to the top. Align to the right. Then select your sentiment. Your sentiment can't be hanging off. It's going to do that same funky thing. It's going to move the panel instead of the sentiment. I want it to move the sentiment. So if I want this to be maybe about this height on the card, but I want it to be centered in the back, just going to select the two, the sentiment and the square only, not your base. Align, center horizontally, and then it's going to pop where it needs to be. Then you're just going to select your panel, the square right here, slide it out of the way, and select the sentiment and the card base and attach. So now your sentiment is exactly center of the back. You're welcome. That's how I align my sentiments and my cards, and that I know that they are aligned perfectly on the inside. Okay? Again, if you want it to be true center, you're just going to, instead of align center horizontally, you're going to align center. It depends on where you want it to land. If you want it to be vertically and offset, then you would align vertically. So which alignment you select is where it's going to be. All right, now we're just going to create our panels for the front of the card. And I'm just going to bring this to the front, and we're going to reuse that panel because I've got a white card base and I'm going to use a little bit darker purple panel, and I want it to be smaller than the base. So I'm going to change that to a 4, and for some reason it doesn't do it. You can see that I've got the right amount of space horizontally, but this is off a little bit. So you have to unlock it and take a 1/4 inch off that side. It's originally 5.5, so it would be 5.25, and then lock it back. So now we know that we have a 1/4 inch off the top and the sides to go onto that panel. Now I'm going to duplicate it again. Right here at the top of the layers panel is your duplicate tool, or you can right click and duplicate. And I'm going to make this one a little bit lighter color so that I can tell my mats. When I change these colors, guys, what I'm trying to tell it to do is not send everything, because if I make this panel, let's just go ahead and make the size. I'm going to take a 1/4 inch off of this one. So I'm going to make this one 3.75. And then this one 5. Take a 1/4 inch off of each part. So now if I were to send this over to the mat and hit make it, all of my panels are going to the same page. But I'm cutting this from 2 different materials or 2 different colors. And I need it to be separated. And the only way to do that is to separate it on your canvas. So I did a little vellum layer. And I usually use a gray, do a really pale gray for vellum in all of my files. So if you see a pale gray in my file, it's either going to represent vellum or silver. I usually use the dark gray that's basic right here for my silver, and then this is for my vellum. Yay, I'm glad that helped. So now that I have those 2 panels, I did a 3rd panel. And I did this one in another pattern paper, just a different color purple. So I'm just going to select that purple that I already have in there, and I'm just going to go a little bit lighter so that those line up. I'm going to arrange, bring that to the front. And now this panel was 375 by 5. I want to make this one 3.5 by 475. And now I have that third panel. And you can select your panels and neat them up by selecting your 3 panels, align, center, and then you can group them so that they stay all nice and pretty for your card front. Because remember, we can't see the front of our card, so we're just going to pop this over here to give us the mimic of what our card front will look like. Okay, super easy and simple. Done. Got our base set up. Now we need a sentiment base. And I'm just going to double click, or just click on that and duplicate it. And I'm going to change this to the darker purple because I want it to cut from the same material as that first panel that I did. And I just want this big enough to do. I'm going to duplicate that, by the way, again. And we're going to make that one white. This is going to be for my sentiment, and that's just way too large for that. Let me bring that to the front. See how that arrange tool is really going to help you when you're designing. And I don't remember exactly what size I used, so I'm just going to unlock this. And I want to make sure that my happy birthday is going to fit on there and that it looks well on the card. And I really like that size, but it's a little bit big for doing another panel. So let's make it a little smaller. That looks great to me. So I'm going to select the 2. I'm going to align that center, and I'm going to attach. And so that was 2.625. Let's just square that up. Let me unlock that and make it 0.5 just for ease of creating. All right, so now I want to do an offset, and so I can go in here and I can unlock this and try to get that to be exact all the way around. That's just too much. Or I could do the math and add it together. Not going there. I'm just going to select that. I'm going to use that offset tool. And I want it to be squared. And corner rounded is the default, so I need to change that to square. I don't want it to be rounded off on the edges. And then I'm just going to select that till I get it about where I want it. And let's just say 0.25 is where I want that, 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to apply. And that offset is going to be black. I'm just going to change that to my dark purple. Now I can just delete that piece, and I didn't have to do anything fussy with it. Align, center, and we're going to group it. Okay, to me, 1/4 inch is a little too big, right? So go back in. We're just going to ungroup this, or you can hit undo, whatever you want to do. I'm going to get rid of that. Don't want it. That's too heavy. I'm going to select it, go to the offset. I'm going to bring that down a little bit more. Let's say 0.125. Let's do 1/8 of an inch. 125. And I just for whatever reason I click here and then it changes there. And so that looks pretty good. So I'm going to select that offset color of black, change it to my purple, and we're going to group that. And that looks better. That gives me some space and gives me room for my images. Yes, and we're going to be covering that. You can do that. Now you can come over here. You can change your groups. You can name that. This would be your sentiment group. You can also tell it what to cut it from, cardstock, things like that. And we'll touch more on that when we do our layers panel. So you can change them. Make sure that you've got your pen. I'm going to select my pen right here in the layers panel. And make sure that you've got it set on whatever pen that you plan to use. And then everything is ready to go. If you want your Make-A-Wish to be all in black, you'll have to go through and select your pens there. Make sure everything is the colors that you want them to be. Let's say I wanted something in purple for this. I could go in there and change that. And then, let's see, extra fine. And you don't really have to change this. This is just going to give you an idea of what it will look like on your card. You can zoom in. Remember I said your zoom is down here on the bottom. You can zoom in, take a look at what it's going to look like when your card is done. If you're happy with it, now you're going to click Save, and you're going to name it oops. I'm going to save this in case you guys want it. I'm going to put it in my card projects and save. So now you have that base and it's there. The next thing you need to do is click on your title, and then you're going to come down here and edit your project details. You're going to add a photo. Of course, you need to add that photo, guys. Just click on it, upload your photo, description. There's your card base from the live tutorial. And you can always come back in, and then you want to tag it. So we're going to do card. This is an A2 card. We're going to do cardstock. I know it's in there. There it is. Cardstock. Any other tags that you may want to do. And then you're going to click Save. Now the front of this is set up easy, so you've got 3 colors that you can do. You can add any images you want and things like that. We're all learning. We're all learning, Cheryl. Everybody learns at different intervals, and I know some of my members already know this information, but refreshers never hurt. We forget things. I still forget things. So make sure that you're attending these lives. Some of it may be repeat. It may be a little monotonous, but that's what's going to make you fluent and be able to succeed better with your machine. The more familiar you become, the better you're going to become. You can think of something and you can say, okay, now I know there's a way to do this in DesignSpace. Let me think back on what she said about this. So never be ashamed that you're going to forget something. No question's too small, too big, too dumb, anything like that. No question is ever dumb. So don't hesitate to ask your questions, guys. That's what we are here for. That's why we do this. Yay, thank you, Prickly Pear. So yeah, don't ever feel like that your question's too dumb to ask, guys. Ask those questions. If you don't ask, you don't know. And if you don't know and you try to research, you could get incorrect information or maybe not find the information that you need. So don't hesitate to ask at any time. Anytime. I still ask questions too, Kathy. So, I mean, I forget things and things don't work properly. And my admin team is awesome for trying to keep me up to date when things change and I miss them. It's easy to do. I have an awesome team. They keep me in line. Exactly, Sue. There are different ways. Remember I said there's always at least 2 ways to do everything. Your biggest issue is resizing. Good thing right there, Prickly. Let me show you guys. So what if I wanted this to be a 5x7 card? I'm going to select everything and I'm going to group it. So now when I move it around the canvas, everything is locked together, okay? And I'm going to come up here and unlock, and I am going to make that 10 inches across because half of 10 is 5, and then my height would be 7 inches. And that's going to resize everything proportionately. Now, when you have writing on there, that's just for sizing. If you have writing on there, you want to detach that writing, like the sentiment, because it could cause it to skew depending on how much you are adjusting the size. Okay, so when you adjust the size, you have to adjust the size of everything, or things won't fit. Okay, they will not fit if you don't resize everything together. And let me show you that example. I'm just going to undo everything. So, and let me ungroup here. So if I were to make this a 5x7 card and unlock that and make this 10, and then this 7, now my base is a 5x7, but nothing else fits on the card. Okay? Now my panels are too small. So that is the thing. Whenever you resize, you have to resize it all together. That being said, 3D images. Sometimes if you resize certain 3D projects, it can skew them out, or not really skew them out, but it can make sometimes it can cause funky shapes not to size properly, and then they don't fit together. Usually, that's very rare, but usually it's on a box. If you change the width of a box and you don't change the height, it's not going to fit together. If you change the entire thing, sometimes the panels that fold over don't meet. And it's very rare, and that's usually like those, I want to say, I don't know what the name of it is, those interlocking tab boxes. Sometimes they just don't work right after they've been resized unless you physically cut them down and change them. So just be careful when you're resizing. 99% of the time, if you select everything and you group it and size it, everything's going to work perfectly. And the reason for that prickly pear is because when you put your material on the mat, let me just hit make it. When your material is on the mat, right here, you see that red line? That is the area where your material is going to start to cut. You can't push it up there and get that 12-inch. So if that was a 12-inch square, it's not going to let me send it over, number one, because it needs that 1/8 of an inch all the way around. I know it says a 1/4 inch, or well, it's 1/2 inch. I'm sorry. Got my measurements mixed up. It gives you a 1/4 inch all the way around the mat. That's why it's a 1/2 inch smaller, 11.5, 11.5. You have to have a 1/4 inch at the top, 1/4 inch on the sides. And the reason being, if your blade tried to cut right here on that 12-inch edge, the blade is just going to pull your material right off the mat. It's going to pull it right up off the mat because the blade is going to be running down the edge of the material that's already 12 by 12. So you've got 12 by 12 material on a 12 by 12 mat. It has to move that blade in a 1/4 inch to start cutting so it doesn't pull that material up. That being said, if you have a Maker 3 or Explore 3, your width is 13 inches. Okay? Off a mat with smart material. With anything on a mat, it's still 11.5. Okay? So that's why you can't go to 12 inches. And then you have some materials like your chipboard and your basswood, and the maximum width on those is 11 inches. And your max cut is 10.5. Okay? Let me show that. Let's go to this mat here. And let me select chipboard. Knife braid, yes, I understand. It wants me to calibrate, but I'm not going to do that right now. But you can, oops, it's not going to let me show you because I haven't calibrated it on this machine yet. There it is right here. So right here, move your star wheels all the way to the right and make sure your material is no wider than 11 inches. And that's because all those star wheels are going to be to the right because they will damage the material if they roll over the material. So they have to be pushed all the way to the right-hand side. And when you do that, your material, it takes up part of your mat area. So you have to tape everything down on that mat. It's giving you that area. If it cuts right up to the edge, that knife blade's just going to rip it right off. So that's why materials and the maximum size that you can cut on materials will always matter. Okay? Now you can cut longer. You can, if it's 11.5 by 14, you can do that on a 12 by 24 mat. So that is your workaround. Make sure you always have that 12 by 24 mat on hand in case you need to cut 12 inches. Something that has to be 12 inches long. As long as it's not 12 inches wide, you can cut 12 inches long. With your paper, it's gonna, you can eke it out, and 12 by 24 paper is available. All right, so let's put this card together. I am going to, yes, I want to cancel that. Cancel, cancel, cancel. So that covered sizing and everything else. I'm just going to go over here to my stuff. And here's the actual one I laid out so that you can see those panels we did, how I cut them. I'm going to replace. And I added an envelope in here for you guys, but you can see it's the basic layout. And then I selected butterflies, and I cut those from iron-on because we're going to do some iron-on cards today. But you can see everything here. Oops, where's my gray panel? Oops. I must have accidentally deleted it. Let me duplicate that and put that in. I don't want to confuse you guys. No, I didn't. There it is. I accidentally hit it. Let's get it all lined up back pretty again. Let me save that. All right, so here's the card. I cut it. You've got your dark panel, your light panel, and then your inside panel. And then I just added some butterflies. You can add whatever you want for your piece of scrap iron-on. I'm using a piece of scrap, okay? And that's what we're doing here. I'm going to make this public. You can find it on my profile. And while I'm at it, let's make that one public too. So you can have both of them today if you want them. You have both versions. You have a blank version and then my version. So let's pop overhead. And here is the supporter file for today, guys. And I gave that to you in the video description. I will be posting it up on Patreon in a standalone post. We're going to put this one together as well. If you don't have, this was already pre-printed paper that I had. If you don't have any of the denim paper and you want to do that card, Creative Fabrica has some beautiful denim papers for your pattern upload that you can do. Now I cut this from both a Smart Material vinyl and from iron-on. I just think the iron-on works better. It gives me the texture I want. Make sure if you're cutting that piece that you weed the inside first and then weed the outside, because I didn't do that yesterday and I fought all those little bitty pieces sticking to my transfer, my carrier. So make sure that you weed that piece last, okay? Super easy and simple. We're going to do both of these at the same time, both cards. They're really easy. I did 2 butterflies and I pop dotted them up with some foam dots. And they're just little bitty dots. That's what I used on those to dot those up, okay? Then we have this piece and this piece. I'm not going to glue these because I'm doing some iron-on that. And then the inside of the card, I used my white gel pen. And then my card panel. And that's what my iron-on is going to go on. And this one says Hello Valentine, and it's very tiny. You may want to change that out, but if you are patient, you can weed it. I'm just going to place that right where I think it needs to land on that piece of cardstock. Okay, and here's my vellum. This is not part of the card for this one. This one just allows you to smush down your butterfly. Remember we talked about that on Monday? So that you can get it into the envelope without messing up your card and anything hanging up. Okay? I told you guys I would show you that. So now I'm going to line this piece up on this card where I think it wants to live. How many of you knew you could use iron-on cardstock? Getting it straight, really, would be good here. I've done it for years, especially when I needed foiling and didn't have anything to foil. I'm going to protect my... I think I'm just going to do this on the box here. I don't want to melt my mat. So I'm just going to bring these up here. And this is just super, super easy. I'm just going to heat it for a few seconds. I've got my mini on low. And we're just going to press in sections. That is coming, Cheryl. I believe Friday we're going to do print and cut. And we're going to be talking about patterns, how to upload, all of that good stuff. I'm just going to flip this over and give it a little bit of a press just to get my panel going straight again. You might get some warping in your cardstock, but it'll lay flat when you glue it down. All right. And then you can just peel, and if it looks like it's not sticking, you just heat it for a few more seconds. I usually just go with whatever my paper's doing. I don't want to warp my paper too bad, so just a few seconds is all that's required for this. You're not going to be wearing it. It's not getting any wear and tear, so it will be fine. Still. Okay, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You did a napkin card like this? Yeah. It just depends on the iron-on. I usually use foil. This is everyday iron-on I had a scrap of. It's down, yeah. All right, so that one's on. Let's see here. Nope, not yet. That can matter too, Sue. Warm or cold peel can matter. I generally, on my cardstock, peel them warm. But it, like you said, it can matter. Sometimes it wants cold. Yeah, mats. If you buy the bulk, if you have access, guys, and you use the bulk green mats and you use your group discounts, usually mats will cost you less than $3, or I'm going to say less than $4, between $3 and $4. I have gotten them for as little as just under $3 a mat, but that's in the 30-pack green. Hi, Irma. You're on your way home from Arizona? Yay. All right, now it's sticking. Let's see. There we go. So just peel that off, and it gives it kind of an embossed feel. That's what it does. So we're just going to set this one to the side for now, and we're going to get this one. This is the one that I did, and I used some glitter iron-on this one. This is the one that you just designed with me. So pick whatever, and I use pre-made envelopes on mine, guys. This is a linen envelope, but I did put an envelope in the files for you guys. So let's bring this in, and I've already weeded it so you guys wouldn't have to watch me weed. And these are very teeny tiny and intricate. what I did for this silver glitter, if you're using glitter, is I just kind of rolled my carrier like this, and it popped up and I was able to peel them off. These little bitty ones, I didn't even bother with it on these smaller ones. Those little bitty holes right there on that smaller one, doesn't matter. If anybody sees that, you're not going to miss that at all. So I'm just going to place that down on my card where I want. I think I want to turn this way. You can put them on there any way that you want. That looks good. And then we're just, again, a few seconds at a time. Oh, wow. Cool, Irma. Yes, thank you, Marianne. If you are an Access subscriber, your quarterly discount is Winter 10. Winter 10. Thank you for reminding me. Oops, I accidentally hit my button. Yeah, that's a $10 off, period, just for being an Access member. It's called Winter 10. The group code takes 10% off and free shipping on any eligible items over $100. And that group code is Cuties. Got a little place right there. And this was just I had like a little sliver. This is enough to do another card. I had a little sliver of glitter iron-on. So I'm just using scraps up. Yeah, when that 30-pack comes in stock, guys, grab it. I don't think the group code works on it anymore because it's an Access subscriber exclusive. But still, you're going to get it. The cost for the mats is so incredibly inexpensive doing it that way. So now I've got my iron-on done. I'm going to turn my mini off. And again, guys, I know that this week our lives are a little bit long, but we're going into detailed depth of everything in Designspace. After we get through this initial layers panel and our print and cut, the lives will only be about an hour long, and that will include your project and your tutorial. So don't be alarmed. Not all lives are going to be this long. I just want to make sure that we don't leave anything out. Make sure your card is going in the right direction before you put your panels on. I just want to be sure that you guys know everything that I know. Okay? And that way, because you're not going to remember it all, but you can refer back to it. And if the information's there, then you'll be able to find it. And I'm just using a tape runner for time purposes here, guys. I'm just going to place this. Try to center it up. There we go. Hello, Valentine. I love the way that feels. And I'm going to pop that up with some foam tape. Get your foam tape, guys, if you're going to be doing card creations. You're going to need it. It's not expensive. You can get it at Hobby Lobby and Michael's. They have it in the big rolls at Michael's, huge rolls. And then figure out where you want it to land. Let's see. I'm going to say right about here. I'm going to pop that down. And then I put some pearls and some around on mine and on the lace. We'll do that too. Get our butterfly. I just used a Zot or a glue dot for my butterfly. Try not to stab yourself. because he's really tiny and delicate. It's going to try to stick to my finger. There we go. And then we'll position him. I want him to go right about there. There we go. I got that a little high, but that's okay. I can live with it. And then you can use liquid pearl if you want to use that. You can get that from Close to My Heart. Judy, I don't know if she's here. She's our Close to My Heart person. And just for time, because I don't have time to let these dry, I'm just going to pop these sticky pearls on. And let's, oops, left that one. Just going to put maybe one or two. I'll do a big one on there. You can do these any way you want to do them. Let's see. Just add whatever you want in various spots, different sizes. This is denim and pearls, denim and lace, whatever you want to call it. And then you can add little rhinestones to it too if you want. I also get these from Close to My Heart. So super easy and simple card here. Just fill it up however you want. If you want to put ribbon on there, you can put a bow on there. I think I had a bow somewhere here. There it is. You can add a bow if you want on there. I don't think it needs it, but totally up to you. Super easy cards. And then we have this panel. Now this one we are going to use the vellum on. So I have my base. I'm going to fold that in half. Use the bone folder so that it lays down. And then you're going to glue. I really hate to cover that side up, but I already put my butterflies on the other side. Of the other panel, so those panels wouldn't look good. There we go. So we've got that panel on, and then you're going to do your vellum. Now vellum will curl up once it gets wet, and usually your adhesive will show, but I'm going to be covering this, so I'm just going to use some art glitter glue. You have to be careful because again it will show through your vellum. Art glitter glue and a vellum tape runner show less than anything else. And I'm going to use, because it's going to take a little bit for this to stick to that vellum. I'm going to place that in the center of the vellum one. Pretty easy, right? And then here's our dark purple panel that we made with our offset. And our sentiment piece. We're just going to glue those together. And I did use foam tape on that as well. If I can get it to peel today. Put that on. And then again, you can just add your pearls, your sparkles. Do I want the bow on this one? I made this bow and I just haven't found a place to use it. Well, that is kind of pretty on there. But I don't want to cover up my butterfly either. Oh, that's cute. I think I'll put it there. No rhyme, no reason. I just try it on there. If I like it, I use it. If I don't, then we don't. I'm just going to use that glue dot right there. It's alright if it hangs over a little. It should still fit in the envelope. And then I'm going to add some pearls to this one. Come here. That one got away from me. And I'm going to add some sparkle to it too. Why not? We have sparkle with the I do better with a straight pen on these. I lost my straight pen. There it is. Ta-da! How pretty is that? And you can use pattern paper that you have on hand, any pattern papers, any colors. It doesn't have to be purple. You can choose whatever you like and work with this. And if you don't, then you can find a similar printed paper and make this after we cover print then cut, and you can print your pattern paper. All right, does anybody have any questions on how to design your card or how your card goes together? These are just so super easy and quick. You can see how quick they went together. We did 2 cards put assembly in less than 15 minutes. What type of adhesive to stick vellum to a card so it doesn't show if the vellum is your top layer, Diana? I have not found anything that doesn't show 0%. Everything is going to show slightly. The material is clear. I have found that I get these off of Amazon, and they're called glue tape, but they're the plus. I'll get you guys the link for these, and I'll put them in the description below. But you have 3 different ones, or 4 different ones, I'm sorry. There are 4. They are out of stock on one, but they come in green, blue, pink, and yellow. One is removable and adjustable. One is permanent. One is dots, and one is for vellum. Okay, this is your permanent. The blue is permanent. I want to say the yellow is removable. The pink is the dots, and then you have the vellum. And let me get a scrap here. And you can put this on your card. Let me get a scrap of cardstock here. And then when you stick this down, this one I have found to show less than anything. I mean, you can, if you look really hard and close, you might be able to see it, but that tape runner there works better than anything else that I've ever found. Let me see it on a darker side. See, on the, it's going to depend on your paper, what you're putting it on top of, and that kind of thing. And yes, you can use glue dots for the vellum, but you can, like I said, it's going to depend upon what you're putting that vellum on top of. You can see that you can't see it on this one, but if I put it on this solid darker, you can see it. Depends on how well you rub it down too. So these are awesome tape runners. I love them. I love the fact that they don't have the caps on them, because those that have the caps on them, you can see I'm always losing the caps. These caps, I always lose them. I love the fact that these are refillable and you can just snap them closed. And then I don't have all of that waste. Some of these things are not refillable and you're just wasting and throwing the plastic away. I get them, they send them to me in my tonic subscription box. I get them occasionally from other places as well. But these are always usually my go-tos, or refillables. The Tombow, I think this is from, I don't know if this is from Close to My Heart or not. Could be Stampin' Up. But the Tombow ones I get, these are refillable Tombows. And as far as liquid glue and vellum goes, Art Glitter Glue shows less than any other glue that I've tried. Let's see. Where's the other one? Okay. I accidentally got some on the corner right there for that Art Glitter Glue. I don't know if you guys can see it. I mean, if you're looking for it, then it's going to show up, but it really looks like part of the card. So Art Glitter Glue shows less with vellum than any other glue that I've tried. Wet glue. And yes, Irma, you can use glue dots. They depends on where they're at, whether or not they show. But yes, glue dots work. Just about any of your adhesives work. It's just what shows more or less. I like the Tombow. The Tombow's pretty good. I just had it. I found it in my stash, so I've been using it. But these are my go-tos. I love these. I love the way that they fit my hand. I haven't had any trouble from them. They don't gunk up on the ends like a lot of them do. Mine don't gunk up. And that's probably the way that I use them. User error probably. Because I always forget to do that little twist at the end that some people do to break the tape. Diana, yeah, I have used vellum as a top layer. But usually when I do vellum as a top layer, I cut a butterfly from it. And so while the adhesive will show where I stick it, like here, I think I just lost my camera, then the pearls will cover it up. Yep, my camera just went out. Let me swap cameras here. But right here, let's get some light on it. Right here, if you say you cut this from vellum and you want to stick it down on top, yes, that glue dot is going to show. But when you put your pearls over the top of it, it's going to hide the glue dot. Same thing if you're gluing it down on a corner or something. When I use vellum as a top layer, Diana, you can usually cover it with a pearl drops, Nuvo drops, something like that. So make sure that when you're gluing it, you're gluing in strategic places on the front so that something, your sentiment where it's going to go over it, is going to hide it. That's the key to using it on top. Disguise it. Did that answer that question? But yes, I have done it for wedding cards and things like that, used it as a top layer. I just disguised it with my pretties that go on the front. So, uh-oh. Sorry about that, Mama Bear. It's super simple, super easy. It's just layering up. Just nothing more than layering up except your iron-on. Adding some embellishment. All right, guys, thanks for joining me. We're about 3 minutes over, so I'm going to say thanks to everybody. Make sure that you join me tomorrow night, 7 p.m. We are going to do iron-on wood. Iron-on wood. And we're going to learn how to read our layers panel and size things up. I've got my trays already painted. I'm only going to do one of them with you, and then I will complete the others. But we are going to iron-on wood tomorrow. So save up some iron-on scraps and things like that. You guys have a wonderful day. Catch you on the next video.